Yo, what up, YouTube? It's your boy Blingo back here with another video. Hope y'all all been living y'all truth. Now, listen. Yesterday, or was it 2 days ago, Pusha T came out with the GQ article. And he was talking about how Def Jam wanted him to remove Kendrick Lamar's verse. If he did not remove Kendrick Lamar's verse, they wanted to drop him. So he got dropped because they thought that the Kendrick Lamar verse is dissing Drake. He said that it wasn't, but they said that it was. So they thought that it was. So they wanted to remove it. Number one Drake fan right here, Mr. Akademiks, has a lot to say about that. I want to see how he's going to try to spin it. He can't, but he will find a way. Y'all know Akademiks will find a way. So let's hear what he has to say about this, because he get on my nerves, and we're going to correct him, and because he's going to put some lies in there. So let's see.
Cleared. It's not meant to be you said XYZ about XYZ artists, so we're not going to release the music. Says, while you've been working with Pusha T, have you had challenges in this department before? In the beginning, no, but starting in 2018, absolutely. Okay. That's the year Pusha T released The Story of Added On. He put that on SoundCloud. It was never officially released on streaming services. So was that a way of getting around any internal objections? A part of the reason, yes, to avoid that. And also, we never properly cleared it. Pusha T mentioned 2 songs in his interview with GQ Rick Ross. With GQ, he says Rick Ross, Maybach Music 6, and he also said Pop Smoke Paranoia, where his verses were ultimately cut. He says, was that because of the same department scrutiny? He says, yes. What happened on the Pop Smoke song is that UMG thought he was dissing Drake on that song. He wasn't, but they thought he was. Pop Smoke was released on my label, Victor, and obviously I managed Pusha T, so they came to me and said, we're not going to put this out now unless you get Pusha to change these lyrics. Even though it had nothing to do with Pop Smoke. They're like, either change these lyrics or we're not putting the album out. What happened to freedom of speech? First of all, he's not dissing Drake, but how do you get him to get to tell him to change his lyrics so you're not putting the album out? Now,
Okay. First of all, I know Akademiks is just reading it, but this article is trying to spin everybody. In the Pop Smoke song, he was dissing Drake. He definitely was dissing Drake. I can't even talk. He definitely was dissing Drake in the Pop Smoke Paranoia. Y'all go listen to it. I think it's very subtle, and you have to know all the details behind the verse to know exactly what he's talking about. But he is dissing Drake. I'm gonna do like a little short about that, because he's dissing Drake, and I seen a lot of headlines where they saying that, people are reading and talking about it like saying like he wasn't dissing Drake when he really, really was. But let's keep it going.
now let me pause this right there. And this is where, issues like this and topics like this, I really don't care to speak about, because we're just hearing people trying to contort all type of arguments to fit their narrative. Let me tell you this very plainly, okay? Drake just blew the whistle on his own label. If you want to pose the question, oh, you're blowing the whistle on shit you've enjoyed, cool. But I spent a whole year hearing from K-Bots that labels got nothing to do with artists' music and the music they put out. Drake blew.
When did they say that? You see, here he go. Here you go with them lies. You telling me that K-Bots said that the music label has nothing to do with the artist? They never said that. They said that Not Like Us was organic. That's all they said. Was Not Like Us is organic. Y'all tried to make it seem like Not Like Us was all bots. It was being pushed. And now, maybe they pushed it a little bit, but we know that the song is just organically hot. Everybody organically liked that song. That's what they said. They did not say that it doesn't happen at all. So stop it. Stop. You see how he do? Y'all see how he do? Go ahead, let's go.
Blew the whistle and say, yeah, they do. Everybody said, no, they don't. Now we're hearing, oh, they did. We can't have it both ways. So if you think this is wrong, and by the way, am I saying that Drake hasn't benefited from this? That's not my point. The point is there was a previous thought that labels do not control and cannot control what an artist wants to put out. This is saying quite the opposite. This is saying Drake probably has a point to say, hey, Why did you allow this nigga to call me a pedophile? That makes complete sense now. Now, this is like a conundrum for all the fans that are like, they're like dick riding either side because, everyone wants to be right. You can't have it both ways. I got to pick a side, okay? Here's one side, okay? And maybe Drake fans want to go for this side. Hey, Drake is a bit of a hypocrite because he's been helped by some of the tactics UMG has used. Yes, if he's been helped by these tactics and these tactics are commonplace, yes, UMG is absolutely wrong if they allow someone to put out a scathing diss song calling him a pedophile, then promote it to the top of the charts. Yes, they're wrong, but Drake is a bit of a hypocrite. That's one side. I think the Drake fans will go over there. Now, for y'all K-bots who are in disbelief and y'all saying Drake is just a bitch because he lost, you now have to say, Pusha, get out your feelings. They're not doing that for Drake. Niggas can put out whatever they want, just like how they let Kendrick put out whatever he wants. You can't have it both ways. So you either got to tell Pusha to shut the fuck up, or you could say, Drake, you're a bit of a hypocrite, but you're right. Wait.
What? Like what, bro? Bro, they're telling him that he can't put the verse out because of the whole thing of dissing Drake. You know why they're saying it. They wouldn't have said this if they weren't in a freaking legal battle with Drake. That's the reason. Because they're in a legal battle with Drake. And they don't want Drake to be like, you see, they putting my two enemies against me. That's what I mean. They're out here to get me. They're out here to destroy me. They're out here to do. They don't, and then this is going to be another headache, another battle, another legal thing, another thing. They're going to have to prove that that's not what they was doing. That's the reason why they don't want him to do this. That's why. It has nothing else to do with anything else that Akademiks is confusing us with.
Could have stopped the Not Like Us from coming out. That's really this whole conversation, and I'm actually surprised that anybody's even talking.
But they didn't think he was going to sue or anything like that. They thought that was the nature of a rap battle. That's what rap battles are. You say whatever, Like, stop it, bro. The reason that they're doing that this time is because they know that Drake has been being a crybaby, and he's going to bring that up in court. And it's just going to be another thing, bro. They don't want no other things. Like, we just want to get out of court, bro.
About it beyond that. But we'll keep reading the thing. Okay. So they thought it was this, and it said, what happened to freedom of speech is not this in Drake. He said, from what Pusha told GQ, this Kendrick verse they were concerned about on the new record isn't this in Drake either. He says, yeah, I don't know what their concern is. But they were like, there's a line here we think is controversial. Kendrick needs to change it, or we're not putting it out. We're not going to ask him to change his verse. You guys are wrong. Stop looking this way. Now, also, you K-bots, I need you guys to be held accountable as well. We've seen Kendrick Lamar, who y'all have called Jesus. We saw him take distinct.
If they call Kendrick Jesus, what do you call Drake? What do you call Drake? Like, cut it out, bro.
Significant stances against censoring any type of artistic expression. You've done it, and you stood up for people of the likes of R. Kelly, seemingly, not directly, but definitely for XXXTentacion. When was that? Back when Spotify was trying to institute a policy to not playlist or support any artist who was accused of domestic violence or other things that was considered heinous crimes. You penned a letter, or you put it out there that you stood with those artists and you would stand against Spotify. If Daddy's saying he won't put out your verse and you don't call him out, I feel like this issue that Pusha T might have should fall in the lap of Kendrick.
Why do you always want everything to fall in the lap of Kendrick? Every single thing. Like, you always want Kendrick to come out and say something. You want him to go out and battle Joey. Now you want him to go out and battle Pusha. This is really Pusha's thing. It's not really Kendrick. If Kendrick want to say something, he'll say something. If not, he won't. So why are you always pushing for him to say something? Won't you push for Drake to do something? Push for Drake to do something. Like, all the time, bro. It's just annoying.
Not be blamed on Drake. Kendrick has taken stances. Y'all say he's Jesus. Why he ain't he should have told UMG? Well, y'all ain't getting my next album if you censor this one verse.
Oh my!
That's what he should have done. So the mere fact that he didn't do that, and now we've watched him take other stances, what are we talking about? Well, you just want to blame Drake? That's convenient for your conversation.
Kendrick has very little to do with this whole thing. It's his verse. That's it. Like, it's his verse, but it's not his legal thing. It's not his record deal. It's not his thing. He's doing this for Pusha T. That's it. Like, why do you need him to say something all the time? Don't you think he said enough? When he destroyed Drake, don't you think he said enough? Like, what else you want him to say? You want him to do a lot. Let him live, bro. Worry about what Drake is doing in his Iceman album coming out.
It's convenient for your conversation. Drake don't like Pusha T, and he don't like Kendrick. So if he could block them, if he could trip their baby mama, if he could kick their grandma, he would. Okay? Don't blame the op for you not being able to have a safe community. You're supposed to go get the op. That's the reality of it. So if you're going to take this, and I know this is the K-Bots like demeanor. Well, you know, this Drake don't like y'all anyway. If I could use any type of suppression method to get some niggas I don't like suppressed, fuck it. So don't blame the guy who don't like him. Blame the guy who supposedly has comparable power in the industry that we've seen speak up before, not doing nothing about it. Okay, that's my point to it. So it got to the point where the conversation became, you can't keep stopping this guy from being able to put out his art. He's a rapper. Every time he puts out an album or a song, you can't listen to it to make sure he's not dissing somebody before you put it out. He has to think about what he's saying before he's saying it in hopes that you might not think he's saying the wrong thing. Who could live their life like that? By the way, I do agree. I went to them and said, let us put the song out somewhere else since you guys have issue with it. You guys won't have to stand behind it, whatever complication that come from it. We'll put the song out somewhere else and we'll license it back to you when the album comes out. Their response was, how about you just find somewhere to put the clips, okay? Meaning saying, we rather you niggas out of here, okay? Now, here's the thing. I don't think that's a Drake issue. That's what's called not enough leverage.
It is a little bit. It's probably a lot of a Drake issue. They just don't want to deal with it in court. They don't want to deal with it in court. You know, if they do that, Drake is going to use it in court. He's going to use any. Bro, he's been using. He got like he's using Twitter people, and he putting them. He using their names, and they got the stupidest names, and they coming up with these things about how Kendrick using bots and all this. Like, I kid you not, one of the Twitter names is like Hello Kitty 777 or something. That's the name, and it's actually in the court document. Like, it's in there. He's gonna use anything from that verse to add on to the battle that he is having with UMG. And you know it, bro. You know he would. I think, honestly, Akademiks might be trying to set it up. He probably want Kendrick to say something so, you know, Drake could use it. But it's better if Kendrick don't say nothing. This guy's in court. Like, we can't talk. We can't say nothing. We can't say nothing right now.
They're not telling Taylor Swift, you have a gripe, how about you just leave the label? No, they're saying this because they're probably saying the Clipse is trying to be more of a headache. And I'm not agreeing with what UMG is doing, but if that's what's happening, let's just be realistic. What they just told you is that you guys have no value to them. They told you that you guys don't really hold water and they don't give two fucks if you guys stay on their label or leave. That should be understood and should be operated like that. Don't blame the label, because if you start blaming the label, you now sound like Drake. And the people who are trying to agree with Pusha, with Pusha, y'all all say Drake's a bitch for blaming the label. So again, let's go back to the conversation. Remember, Drake suing the label. That's a bitch move, because why are you suing the label? That's police shit. Why
you suing the label because you can't take the fact that Kendrick beat you. You're just trying to mask it as you're suing the label. You really want to sue Kendrick. He beat you in a rap battle. It's totally different. The reason why Pusha T can't put out that verse is because you're mad that he beat you in a rap battle, and we don't want it to look like we're still letting him destroy you after we're already in a legal battle about it. So we don't need you to add that on, bro. We don't need you to add that on to your case. You know, we don't need to give you more ammo. That's why they're not allowing the verse to come out. And it's really truthfully, it's understandable. It really is.
You blaming a label, you a bitch. Well, I've told y'all, blaming a label has always existed in hip hop because the labels usually take advantage of artists. When you call them out, it's up to you. Maybe you called them out when they finally shelf you. Maybe you called them out because they stiffed you on some royalties. Maybe you called them out because they took your publishing. But at some point, some people call out their labels. So now, when it comes to Drake, and Drake has done it in his own way, he's been labeled as a bitch, a snitch, and everything else. When Pusha T is now saying the bullying tactics by UMG, now it's supposed to be listened to. We're either going to listen to both or we're going to tell both of them to shut the fuck up and just let it be. UMG is daddy and he whips you niggas accordingly. What are we going to say, chat? You can't have it both ways.
You know that. He knows that this wouldn't have happened if they wasn't in court, though.
Silence. I like to hear that. So let's keep reading. He said, just pay us to put it out somewhere. Okay? My thing was that we can't do that. Pusha and Clipse are one thing. At this point, he clearly doesn't trust you guys. You guys haven't been good stewards of his career. So they said, find another deal. Let's figure out a business. You know what that means? Go shop yourself on the market. Go get, this is Universal. Go get Sony to give us some money that we could transfer your contract or let you out of the contract because we've gotten paid. If you feel you're that valuable. By the way, when a label says you could go find another deal or they're down to let you out of a contract, that's a business decision. That's not personal. That's them saying we don't believe that the value you hold, someone else is willing to pay. Okay?
Or it could mean we don't want it. We're in court fighting the battle, and we don't need to make it worse. That's what that means. Nobody wants a lawsuit, bro. That's like the number one thing. Nobody wants a lawsuit. So if you're in a lawsuit already, you are not going to make that lawsuit worse. You are just not going to make it worse. You're not going to take the chance. Drake messed up everything by suing. Now labels got to be careful of what they allow. When hip hop wasn't like that, like we were able to say what we wanted to say, but now we gotta censor because we got a crybaby in here, so we gotta censor. Like, come on, bro. That's the truth. That's what it really is about.
We don't believe the value you hold, somebody's willing to pay. And if you think another company is willing to pay it because they think you're more valuable than what we deem your value is, go get the bread and bring it to us. And we'll let you out. It's a straight business decision. It's nothing about feelings. And again, this just shows, and you won't see certain artists get told this. That doesn't happen. It's a fact. It's the reason why for most artists, if they're hot, they're on fire after the first project or the most recent successful project, they get re-upped and they get locked in a longer deal. They just get promised more money. Okay? It's like having an NBA player who just dropped 35 a game on.
So what happens if Kendrick drops a verse and it's kind of dissing Drake or saying anything close to dissing Drake? UMG gonna be like, yo, I can't, I'm sorry, Dad, I can't let you do it right now. That means anybody on UMG, if anybody want to take a shot at Drake right now, they can't. UMG is not having that right now. They just not having that. They not having it right now. They not having it. That's crazy, bro. I don't think this is exclusive to Pusha T. I think this will be everybody. I really think it should be everybody.
All season, you never want that nigga to be a free agent. Unless you're the Dallas Mavericks, like shopping Luka Doncic, you never get rid of the star player, the franchise player. It's when you're constantly on the trade block and they're like, huh, if you don't agree to our terms, we don't give a fuck where you go. That's when you should know your value and your leveraging is low. Being honest. So they said, find another deal. Let's figure out business. They didn't drop us. They were like, pay us this money, which was an exorbitant amount of money, like a shit ton of money. We'll let you out a deal. That's what happened. We paid them the money, an insane amount of money. It wasn't like $200,000. It was a lot of money for an artist to come up with. They bought themselves out the deal. How many solo albums did Pusha have left on Def Jam? I don't really want to talk about that part, but he had like 3 left. So you had to pay 7 figures to get out of the deal. Yes, millions of dollars. How quickly were you to get another deal in place? Happened simultaneously. with us getting out the previous deal. It took a couple of weeks for us to figure out the paperwork. Again, it was a lot of money. We kept going back and forth. Can we pay this amount of money? And a part of the profit, can we figure out a deal where we pay the guys to make money off the new release instead of coming up with this large lump sum right now? They said no. They were like, we want our money and we want some profits. So I knew that we had a deal in principle, a deal with Def Jam. I got on the phone with Jay-Z and said, look, this is happening. We've been talking to XYZ together. There's an opportunity to do this album. What do you think? He hit me back right away. He says, you just made my day. Let's figure it out. What do we need to get it done? I went back to Pusha T and said, listen, Jay's going to give us a very artist-friendly deal. We get to own the masters. They'll put the marketing power for Roc Nation behind it. You guys are friends. It's a great outcome. We worked out a deal in less than 24 hours. Now,
That's crazy. You see how Jay just came through? This is why this is why I gotta have love for Jay, bro. You gotta have love for Jay. Cause this is what he want to do. He actually cares about the artist. He actually cares about the art. He actually cares about hip hop. He actually cares about it. So you gotta give him love for that. You gotta respect that. We have to, even though they say he do some dirt, but we gotta respect stuff like that, man. We have to.
Here's the thing, and I'm pretty fair with all my criticisms of everybody. I used to say Roc Nation is a label that has been accused, and this is not by me. This is by other people, and I could name them, all right? So what I'm saying is not allegations. I don't need to say alleged because there's actual people I could point to. I got that information from them. Roc Nation has participated, alleged. Well, I'm still saying allegedly because I don't know if they did it as a fact, but people have alleged that they did it. Participated in torturous interference, which means they'll see an artist in a deal. The label doesn't have any plans of dropping that person, and Roc Nation will try to fuck up the deal because they want to steal the artist. I told you about Meg, told you about Uzi, I told you about Bobby. Those are artists that definitely it happened with. Now, with this situation, I'm not going to say it happened with Pusha because it looks like Pusha was running into a wall up at UMG and probably was maybe about to be shelved, and they told him, hey, find somebody else that will pay for this shit, and we'll get you on out of here. And look like Roc Nation, they were a hero in that situation. And I'm saying that currently, I might get more information. I'm gonna do a couple calls. Maybe I hear a different story because we know how Roc Nation usually gets down. They're never wearing the cape. They're usually coming in with the villain mask. Okay, so okay, cool.
I thought you said you was on Roc Nation team. You thought you wasn't talking trash about Roc Nation. Okay.
We have to give them a cut also, which is insane. Stephen Victor, I like you. I fuck with you very heavy. You do know that I've talked to you personally, but you know that's not insane. When you're leaving a label, when they give you money and what they've not recouped, they want their money back, but they also usually want a cut of future profits. That's just how it goes. To say that's insane, maybe the amount that they asked for, now it becomes a negotiation. I don't think that's insane. If anybody works in the music business or deals with labels, that is the same thing. I'll use a personal example because it ain't my shit. Caribou got a deal with Yachty. Yachty told me on this stream, and he's told me personally, I'm down for her to go wherever. She could go to Mars. She could go to Jupiter. She could go to Egypt. I don't give a fuck where she goes. Here's the thing, though. Yachty was going to let her go like just scot-free. Yachty got a couple great business people around him. Also, Yachty's label folds up under QC. Before QC was folding up under Motown and Capitol, but now it folds up.
It seemed like he's about to go everywhere else. And we're already 20 minutes in, 23 minutes. So that was the most important part. So let me know what y'all think. Do y'all think he was trying to spin the narrative? Do y'all think he was keeping it real? Because I don't. I think he's like him and Wack 100, they got a way of spinning things where it kind of makes sense, but you got to really listen closely because they'll leave out certain details, like certain parts, so it could fit what they're trying to say. Like they'll leave things out, like what they said, all the K-Bot said that labels don't help. They never said labels don't help. You know what I mean? They never said that. They said that Not Like Us is organic. A lot of people like that song organically first. Then maybe, whatever the labels do what they got to do. But people like that song. It wasn't all fake. Like, I'm going to keep it real. A lot of people, when it came to Drake, a lot of people didn't like Tootsie Slide. But that song was like pushed up. Now that's a real push. Nobody liked that song like that. I don't really know anybody who likes that song. I never really hear people play that song. He tried to make it a TikTok thing. It didn't do TikTok. I ain't gonna lie. I like that song though. I like that song. but a lot of people didn't like that song. So that's a fake, that one's not really organic. Like, you know what I mean? You could kind of tell what's organic and what's not. But Not Like Us is definitely organic. But I'm going to end the video right there, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, share this video if you care. And follow me on TikTok. Follow me on Instagram at Blingo40. And I will see y'all the next video. Peace.